what I want to bring you in this talk, today's talk is titled 3 Keys to Clearing Fear and Anxiety, so you don't have to bring it with you into 2021. And whatever we don't address, you guys, we're bringing with us, so that there's no confusion about that. Whatever we don't address, we are bringing with us, okay? Whatever we don't deal with, handle, wade through, clean up, it's coming with us. So you can just visualize that these bags of overwhelm and anxiety or isolation or loneliness or whatever is feeling unfulfilled, you're going to be dragging it with you by default. Okay, it's not that you have to remember to pick up and drag it with you. That's default mode. It's unconscious. It comes with us, right? The way to be free of that, to be free of overwhelm and anxiety, is to deal with it, to handle it, to clean up your side of the street, not to wait for the world to change or for it to become sort of more normal again, or to change some big thing in our circumstance. Those things may give you some relief, but they aren't solutions. They don't fix how we feel. And so in today's talk, we are going to be going through 3 keys to clearing and releasing that negative energy, that fear energy, and that anxiety energy. And it's 3 really simple points. Notice I'm not saying easy, okay? I'm going to break down what they are. The first piece is that if you're not handling it, dealing with your junk, your anxiety, your fear, what's causing it, what's creating it, you know, if you're just kind of living in the audience of your life, then what that is made of is a lot of avoidance, a lot of denial. Certain amount of denial is very healthy. We don't want to be thinking about all the things that can happen all the time. We want to be able to relax. But denial about what we feel in motherhood is a total wrecking ball. It's just the kiss of death. To pretend we don't feel things, to try to avoid what we feel, to run from what we feel. These are all avenues that will eventually intensify the overwhelm that we experience. Do you get that? So tell me if that part makes sense to you in the comments. I'll see if I can see. Yeah, okay, Sarah, I see the rest of your comment now. Feeling torn as a people pleaser. So when your partner wants it one way and you want it another way. When as mom you feel you know what's best for your kids, but then others in your family of origin or your partner, your spouse, feel differently, have a different opinion, what to do, right? When you're a people pleaser, then you're really caught in a place of, thanks you guys, I see you saying yes. You're really caught between a rock and a hard place of knowing your truth and also not wanting to upset anyone else. Okay, so that's what I mean by avoiding. And then we see we see ourselves tiptoeing around conversations that we think might lead to conflict, that we think might become a fight with a husband. So we just kind of avoid that topic. And I want you guys to notice this, like what happens when you avoid the topic? When you know that there's a truth here, it needs to be spoken. When you know something needs to be handled or addressed or solved, but you're afraid of upsetting somebody, of causing discomfort, of having a fight, you're already exhausted, the last thing you want to do is fight. Okay, so I just went through this with someone this morning. When you're afraid of having an argument, when you're afraid of the upset, when you're afraid, what happens is you wind up negating how you feel and what you know needs to happen in order to maintain some kind of fake peace, some kind of artificial balance. True balance is totally different. True balance comes from us knowing what we need and want, being completely certain, that we know how to communicate that, and being comfortable even when that makes someone else uncomfortable. So let that soak in. Being comfortable even if that makes someone else uncomfortable. Our truth, our needs, our opinions, our voice, even if that rocks a boat, we are comfortable anyway. That's what's possible on the other side of fear, of anxiety. Okay, comfortable, okay, certain, clear, no matter how anyone else feels about it, because you're tapped in, because you're living from your intuition, because you're aligning and coming from your abundance. So you know it's all going to be okay. And you know other people can handle their feelings. All right? So that's a little snapshot of what the bliss looks like and feels like. It looks like not ever having to avoid a conversation that you need to have. And it looks like not fighting. Not fighting. I've had so many moms come on here who have worked with me and graduated Awakened Mother and have come in to say, like, we don't have any conflict anymore. I was tired. I was too tired to fight. I didn't want to fight anymore. And I've had a number of women to want to clean that piece up. And when you don't want to fight anymore, when you want to eliminate conflict, and the thing in the way is feeling comfortable with yourself, not worrying about another person having like a wobble, a moment of discomfort, and we move that, we heal that, we seal that piece up for you, then there never needs to be another moment of conflict again. That likely you will grow a new muscle to speak your mind and speak your truth. And when you do that, you guys, there's no need to argue. You've probably had these moments. Tell me if you've had these moments where something needs to be said, you're not going to bend on it, and you feel clarity about what you need, and so you put your stake in the ground, and that's just it. And if other people don't like it, you're not going to change your mind. It may cause great emotional anguish for you that you don't know how to do it without that piece, but likely there's been at least one moment in your life where you have stood in your strength, where you have stood in your truth. Think about that and resource from that. Take that bit of evidence that says, I know how to walk through discomfort. I know that. And the place where moms fall off all the time, and why people sort of spin and spiral in anxiety loops, is that we're way too worried about making people uncomfortable with our truth, with our knowing, with our power. So no real constructive conversation with a partner will happen or can happen unless we are fully owning what we want and how we feel. Do you guys get that? Yay, see lots of clients on here today. Hi, you guys. Hi, Khadija. I see Vanessa here. I'm so glad you guys are joining. So in terms of how to clear these patterns, the negativity, the fear that creates so much anxiety and worry and so much self-doubt, and at the bottom of that, just feeling so tired, so ashamed that this is, that we're yelling at our kids, that we're snapping, that we're irritable, resenting them for existing, right? That feeling. And I don't know anyone who, I know a lot of people who won't admit that they've had that feeling, but I don't know anyone who hasn't really probably had that feeling. But we're running from those feelings. We don't want to feel them. They're scary. We feel so guilty to feel them, right? Right, thanks Sarah for that share. Thank you so much. She said it's my normal to feel uncomfortable making others uncomfortable. So I have a solid magnetic field that attracts women who have big feelings, who are highly sensitive, who are empathic. When you are an empath, when you are a feeler, when you are, worried about upsetting anyone, there's just a long history there of, and big stacks of evidence, reasons why it's not safe to speak your mind, to stand for what you want, right? This is just years and years, generations of evidence to support that that's not safe. And if I can offer you a gift today, it would be like, it's total BS. That the safety is created within. That when you work with someone who gets this, you can learn to integrate a sense of safety into your whole being, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically. That on every plane we can create a sense of safety, and it's not out here. It's not in someone else's feelings. It's not in someone else's mental health or a partner's calm. My safety does not exist in my partner's ability to be calm or handle big emotions. If it did, I'd be screwed. I'd be so screwed. So it's just one of those areas where we have amnesia, where we are like really asleep to the truth of our being, right? And once we awaken to that truth, that is, I get to feel what I feel and you get to feel what you feel, and we can coexist in that, and we can come to agreements within that, what works for both of us. But until you get empowered in your own space, then it's just a messy. It's everybody stepping on each other's feet and toes, trying to avoid the tough topics, right? And the thing is, our partners don't want that either. They don't want it. They don't want to mess. They don't want to avoid the big topics either. They don't want us nagging and feeling resentful to them about all of the things we feel upset about. They actually don't want to hear it at all. They just want us happy. They just want us happy, and they want to feel happy, and that's what our kids want too. So it doesn't serve us to tiptoe around in avoidance. And I'm going to give you the 3 keys now, and let's go through them. It's a quick hit list. Again, simple, very simple, not easy. So I'll just talk briefly about each one. In order to fully get on the other side of a fear-based life, of anxiety, it is a process. It's not a snap, it's a process, which requires a lot of trust to unhook from these kind of energies, beliefs, thoughts, histories that tell us to be afraid. We have to hook up to something new. That means we have to hook up to someone else's beliefs that work better for us, and we have to integrate those. We have to do the mind shift from there over to here, where instead of living by fear, I live according to a belief that, hi Renee, according to a belief that I'm the best mom for my kids, that my family is thriving, that it is safe for me to speak my truth, and that I am the best person to lead my family, right? And I do know best. So these are part of my belief system, and I'm demonstrating these for you so that you can feel the certainty that can come when you hardwire in this new way of believing that you do know best. You do know best. That there's nobody that your kids need to be certain and clear more than they need you to be certain and clear. Right? So presence gets us there. Connection with ourselves gets us there. Deep, deep self-love and compassion, so really taking care of you, gets us there, and in our ability to make these changes. The first key to blowing apart the fear-based anxiety is to, you guys ready for this? Feel your feelings. I giggle because you already know it. You may not really know it, but you've heard it. Like, feel it to heal it. I love that saying. So cheesy, but I love it. Because it's so true. That became a saying because it's so true. The first key is to stop avoiding, stop putting off facing the reality of your situation, of your life. Have a come to Jesus with yourself about what hurts, what's painful, in what ways do you feel not seen? In what ways do you feel not known? In what ways do you feel like this is not the life that I'm meant to have? Those are a lot of feelings in there, you guys. That's a lot of sadness. It's a lot of anger. You might be mad about some things. That's, resentment, grief, hurt, pain. These are emotions that we all have. We all have them. There is no sense in pretending you don't have them. And there's no sense in pretending that it's working for you to hide from these big emotions. Okay? So the first step is you got to be able to feel. That means not run from and not jump out of, but actually be with what you're feeling. Okay? There's a lot more on that in the how, and this isn't a forum to teach that. It's something that I need to do with you one-on-one if you want to come and work with me to resolve that. But this is the part where everybody has a hard time. Like, I don't know how to feel. Nobody taught me how to feel the hard stuff. It's overwhelming. It's scary. I'm emotionally overwhelmed. I go into collapse. I go into freeze. I go into fight or flight. I get all that. So there are steps you have to take to prepare for how to feel. But some of you may already be ready for this piece. So as a reminder or a new thought for you to marinate on, you've got to feel what you're feeling. So no running from the problem. It's not serving. It's not serving your kids. It's not serving you, your marriage, your future. The second key is when you feel your feelings, do not judge yourself for having them. A lot of us are shutting down before we feel something fully because we just think it's dumb and we shouldn't feel it at all. Raise your hand if you've ever had that inner thought, right? Like if feelings were not a-okay in your family or they were too much or not allowed. You're probably going to have a reaction now that says, this is so dumb, it's so stupid to even say it out loud, to even think this. I shouldn't even feel this. I shouldn't even have this, right? Give me a thumbs up if that's you. This shouldn't be so hard, right? So often the narrative is, this shouldn't be so hard. I should be able to relax. Why can't I just? So those feelings that we're having then are not allowed. That's what we're doing. We're saying, nope, not today. Not allowed to feel sad, not allowed to feel mad, angry, tired, exhausted, not allowed to have an imbalance. Just not allowed. So what are we really doing when we do that? We're just pretending? Like, we're just pretending it's all okay? Just faking it? Like, I don't know about you guys. Faking it sucks for me. And also, I'm terrible at it. I absolutely cannot fake it. I would have no energy to parent, to love my kids, to hold space for my partner. That would just be to me, torture. Faking it, i.e. pretending I'm not feeling what I'm feeling, is stifling, exhausting, it's leaking energy all over the place, it's corrupting my trust in my relationships and with myself, right? So I can't trust me. If I'm not allowed to feel what I feel without judgment, then, or if I'm making it wrong, then I really cannot trust me to take care of me, which is where we start seeing moms just dive into overwhelm head first. No energy, exhausted, health crises, and then where's your partner going to be? When your partner gets left holding all the pieces, right? You guys have been doing this overwhelm dance, and then do you really want to have to tank to get his or her attention? How bad does it have to get? I don't know. It's up to you. How bad does it have to get? For me, it had to get pretty freaking horrible. It had to get bad for me to give myself enough credit for the feelings that I was having. I was in a big, deep, dark pit of overwhelm, feeling like a raw nerve. And it wasn't until my then 3.5-year-old reflected to me she was losing me. I think she was afraid I was going to die and didn't know how to articulate that. So she drew it in a picture and I saw it and it rocked me to my core. Just even thinking about it now, I just feel it, echoes of that through my whole system. The reality check for me was I may not get to be here to see my kids grow up unless I get a handle on whatever this is that's causing overwhelm. And you guys, it's never as complicated as we think it's going to be. It's rarely as hard as people think it is to resolve overwhelm and anxiety. The hard part is recognizing the fear that is in charge of us and saying, I'm not going to let you control my life anymore. That's usually the hardest part. That's the tearing off the Band-Aid part. before we open to receiving help. We have to face the fear that's been in charge for so long, that has brainwashed us basically into not feeling our feelings, into judging ourselves for feeling weak, tired, not able to handle. It's all a bunch of BS. Because when you step back and look at the grand scheme of things, like, well, is it working for you or is it not working for you? And I had to have someone smack me awake at that time to go, take a step back and look at the big picture. And it was my daughter, it was my 3-year-old, who reflected me to me in art. And I saw, like, I've lost the whole point. I've lost the whole point. I'm pushing for the sake of pushing. And my family is dismantling. And what I didn't know then that I know now is that I am the most important factor in the equation of everyone else thriving. I am. It's me. It's you. You are the most important factor in the equation of your family thriving, living in joy, being able to chill, you guys not arguing about the kids. Like, that comes from us. It doesn't come from anywhere outside of us. It's self-created. It's co-created with the universe and the divine. That's the place that we tap into. Then it becomes available in our family system. So feel what you're feeling. Don't judge yourself for it, meaning you got to learn to get in your awareness and locate all these things that are turned against you. It's the inner critic. It's the inner hater that you think are you, that you need help ciphering out to recognize how they're holding you back and how they're hurting you and causing pain. Okay, those are the first 2 keys. The third one and the final one is, I can read my handwriting. It's so good. The third and the final one is something I go deep on in my Awakened Motherhood program with clients, which is the hard thing. The hardest part of the hard thing that you guys are stuck in, that you meet in the pit of overwhelm. That picture that my 3.5-year-old drew of myself with my head all mashed up and sideways, looking like I'd been in a train wreck. That hard thing, we have to take a giant step back or take a pivot, however you want to think about it, so that we can see that hard thing, our hardest kid, their extra needs, our falling apart marriage, our battle with anxiety, our panic disorder, whatever it is. We have to shift the way that we have a relationship with that. So instead of being swallowed by it or enmeshed in it, we want to see that as a communication, as an invitation, or as our teacher. Borrow whatever language works for you. Raise your hand if you know what I'm talking about when I say we have to see the hard as our teacher. Give me a thumbs up, or raise your hand if you know what I mean when I say that. 2, look at what we are grinding through, at what we're suffering through, at the pain that we're accepting. To look at that as something that's torturing us, or a problem that we're so ashamed of, is not serving. Both of those avenues are not serving. The empowered view, you guys, is to look at where we are and what we're suffering under or in, and recognize that we can see it in any way that we choose. Perception is the biggest miracle in our back pocket that we have and can use at any point. Thank you, Khadija. So I know it makes sense to you. I want to hear from those of you who are quiet on the line too. When I say shift and see the problem as your teacher, what I mean is to recognize that you are a powerful creator, first of all. You're the owner of your experience. You're not sitting in the audience of your life. Maybe you have been up till now. It's okay. There's no judgment at all about when you decide to get into the lead role or the director role. You have a choice anytime that you want to take control. You have a choice anytime. But taking control means that you are choosing to see this differently. You're choosing to see what's hard, where you're stuck, the problem, rather than as something wrong with you, which is where everybody goes who has anxiety and low self-esteem and low self-worth. This means there's something wrong with me. And oh my God, the fact that I might have to pay money to change it, or I might have to invite someone in and tell them what's going on for me. And oh, I couldn't even imagine. You know, those voices of shame, those voices of low self-worth, those are fear-based, you guys. Those are fear-based. Okay, the empowered view is if I have a problem and it's not working for me, then I have a choice to solve it or not solve it. I have a choice to find the solutions that work for me, or to stay in the audience of my life and stay kind of under the umbrella of pain and of fear and be controlled by that. But we always have a choice. And you'll hear me say that a lot. Those of you who've been with me for a while know that that's one of my favorite things to say. Check out what's hurting you as a communication instead of and communicate. By communication, I don't mean that it's saying you suck or why can't you do better. Not that kind of communication. I mean from your higher self. From your higher self, a hand around your back, somebody pulling you into them for a nice big warm hug to say, I see you and I know how much you're hurting and it matters. And there's a message here. And the message is that something is out of balance and alignment for you. That some part of you is not being brought to the table, is not stepping up, is not acknowledging, is not recognizing that your needs are not being met. Make sense? Tell me if it makes sense and I'll recap. Feel what you're feeling. Do not avoid it or run from it. Do not pretend that it's not happening. It is not serving. These are the things that have built up and stacked up and piled on and squeezed in 2020. All the things that we were avoiding. People were avoiding feelings of inadequacy within family. And when 2020 hit and we were all the time with family, always, there was nowhere to go. There was nowhere to run from it. There was no way to avoid what we're feeling. You were just ended up to your eyeballs in all the things you've been avoiding. And if that happened for you, then I want to really emphasize for you, don't judge yourself for it. Don't go into shame about it. The low self-worth spirals are not serving. Like if that's happening, okay, it's happening. Just see it. All right, all that's happening. Oh my gosh, I feel so out of control. And then notice, like, so what does that show me? It shows me I feel out of control about my life and I don't like it, right? I don't like it. I want to be in control now. I want to get in control of me, of my life, and of my family. And I no longer want to feel at the mercy of life, of the pandemic, of losing my job, of whatever, of a partner and his big feelings, or of potential conflict, or we could spend all day and all night thinking of potentialities. But you have the power to change all of that. You have the power to shift your perception, to release judgment, to slow it down, and to go, what do I need? And some of you are going to recognize in that you don't know what you need. And that's just the human nature. It's the nature of being an overwhelmed mom. So if you don't know what you need, I can help you identify that. Reach out to me. We'll have a free clarity call, and I can help you to spell out what you don't want and what you do want. Those are the two main things we talk about on the clarity call. And then at that point, I'll know right away if I can resolve what underlying problem is going on for you. And if so, then I will spell out for you how we do that. If not, then not to fear, because I'm going to give you some steps for right at the level that you're at right now to strengthen, to build resilience, to start to take control of whatever you can take control of and whatever you're ready for. And you guys, if you don't handle it, it's coming with you. You are going to bring the junk and the clutter, the chaos, the shame. You're going to bring that overwhelm with you and keep creating it. Because while it looks like it's coming from outside of you, the mess in the home, the kids' behavior, the inattention or lack of affection from a partner, these, every single one of them, are reflections in a mirror of something inside of your heart, of your mind, your belief system. It's getting shown to you through that mirror. And to change what we don't like in the mirror, like my daughter showed me that picture of me. I didn't like what I saw in that reflection, and I wasn't going to spend one more day like that, letting her feel that way, worrying that I wasn't going to be there for her next week. I wasn't going to allow that. It crossed a boundary for me. It was like a hell no for me. I'm not going to continue to tolerate her heartache and her heartbreak, me being tired and shredded and bitter and whatever. Like that, I just could not handle that anymore, living in that level of overwhelm. And if you're there, you know what that feels like, and you've probably been praying for an answer. You've been praying for a solution. So don't skip over it when it shows up. Don't wait. Don't think next year I'll work on me. I'll learn how to take care of me better next year. Like when things sort of settle back down, with overwhelm, it just never settles. We just keep recreating similar levels of chaos, similar levels of avoidance, of overwhelm, of pushing through, which leads to more exhaustion. So if you guys are in a place where you're hearing and you're like, yes, this is where I am, and no, I don't want to do 2021 the way I did 2020. I just don't want that level of uncertainty. I want to create my certainty. I want to create the level of ownership, the confidence, the ease. I want to feel relaxed, knowing I'm doing such a damn good job in my family. If you want those things, then you don't have to wait. Start with where your heart guides you and where your heart leads you. Get clear on what you don't want. Get clear on what you do. If you don't know how to do that piece, reach out to me and I'll help you. And if you already are pretty darn sure you don't want to keep torturing yourself, trying to keep your head above water and survive the emotional game of anxiety and overwhelm, you're ready to consider doing the work it takes to be done with that, then reach out and I'll let you know. If we can decide if you're ready, we can discover together if you're ready. And if I know I can help you, then we'll talk about what that looks like and how that is. So again, feel it. Don't judge yourself for it. And then look for the gift, the communication, the teaching in what you find. All right, so say below now, I want to hear from you guys before we close. What is one thing that you would like to leave here and not take with you into 2021? It may be overwhelm, it may be guilt, it may be feeling tired or worn out, or it could be a dynamic. I just don't want to tiptoe. I don't want to walk on glass anymore. I don't want to focus only on kids to my own, at my own expense, at my own detriment. If you're not willing to sacrifice your health anymore, then usually that's the greatest gift you can give for your kids. Right? It means you're ready to show up for them in a new way. You're ready to come into presence and let them know they're the most important thing in your world. So when we're not present, they don't know that. They don't know that. They think it's work. They think it's the house. They think it's other things. They don't know that they're the most important thing in your world unless you're present with them. So, okay, great. So keep dropping them in. So overdoing. Awesome, Sarah. You're ready to leave overdoing behind. You don't want to take that with you into 2021. I love that, because overdoing is doing things that really don't need addressing or don't need to be done. Like all is well, and it's just nervous energy at that point, right? So overthinking, good one. Leaving self-doubt and judgment and not looking back. I love that, Maria. Yeah, just washing your hands of that for good and let it be done. Just burn it. We burned in my family, I was saying we did solstice ceremony at home, and we burned our heaviness that we want to leave behind. And we watched it burn, and we felt the energy of just letting that leave. And that's such a beautiful symbolic thing to do. It actually does not resolve the inner conflict and the patterns. You got to do the work. You got to invest in you to be able to learn the how for that piece. I don't want to sort of hold up any illusion that that actually resolves emotional trauma, but it is just a really fun way to get more conscious of what you don't want to bring with you. Hi, Nikki. So glad you're here. Yeah, Nikki, that's such a celebration. Thanks for celebrating on this live. I'm leaving taking emotional responsibility for my parents in 2020. They are grown adults. They can and will handle themselves when they are left to do so. And that's the lesson. That's the lesson for everyone. Our partners and our kids. I say it on my program calls all the time. Our partners and our kids and our parents are way more capable than we give them credit for. We're busy wiping everybody's bum, just thinking it's going to be too hard, you know, to let them feel their feelings. And we're doing it as a tactic to avoid, not you, Nikki, I know, I know you. We're doing it as a tactic to avoid taking care of ourselves and how we feel, right? It's a distraction. And you guys just leave it. Let's burn it. Let's build a big bonfire of conscious mothers and let's just light that sucker up. I'm with you. I'm here supporting you, holding space, raising consciousness for you, and inviting you to take responsibility to handle, clean up, take control of your life. Now could not be a better time when we see all that is not working, when we are so clear that if we don't take a stand for ourselves, nobody will. No one can. No one's coming to rescue us. Your partner's not going to rescue you. He or she cannot fix it. If they could, it would already be fixed. You're going to have to choose for yourself and invest in you and take a stand for you and what you want, you guys, whatever that looks like. Okay, and if you need help, reach out. I love you all. Have a beautiful, beautiful holiday. And some of you, I know, are already wrapping up your holidays, but just wishing you love and presence with your family and making beautiful memories that are the ones that you want to keep, that your kids will have forever. Love you guys, and see you after the holidays.